Welcome to the Tilted Halo, the place for women of faith and leadership who know that we're not perfect, yet boldly lead anyway. Whether you serve in ministry, business, or life, this show is here to encourage you, remind you that you're not alone, and help you lead with confidence, gratitude, and God's grace. Now, let's get started. It is my pleasure and honor to welcome today to the Tilted Halo, Dr. Coylette James. Dr. Coylette is a powerhouse leader and mentor known as the Lioness, and she loves helping people discover their divine identity and walk boldly in purpose. As a speaker, author, and host of Unstoppable Lionesses and Supernatural Success, equips visionaries to rise from trauma, embrace their uniqueness, and build lasting legacy in life, ministry, and business. Dr. Coylette, welcome. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be on your podcast today.
Thank you. Please tell me a little bit about your story as to how you became known as the Lioness and what that all means.
Well, I think I've always had an inner lioness within me. I was that mother that, if you mess with my cubs, I was going to attack. So it was just there. However, as God had directed me to start my nonprofit, Lioness Warrior Kingdom, I selected the lioness because the lioness is the only big cat that literally they support one another. Most big cats, when they have their cubs, they go off and just do their thing alone. But lionesses, they stay in the pride, they protect each other, they help each other raise the cubs, they hunt together. You know what I'm saying? They have this cohesive sisterhood. And so that was part of the vision that I wanted to bring together, because I believe that women as a whole has bought into a lie that has been put out there that we can't work together, we can't get along, we can't collaborate, we can't. There's so many things as a woman you're told you can't. But it's not true. Collaboration is what it's all about. And we're so much stronger when we're walking arm in arm, when we're covering each other, when we have each other's back. And so that's kind of how that lioness motif kind of got pushed out there. And then, like I say, I am that one. I will call you if I have to.
Watch out.
Yes.
Yeah. What you're talking about is something in a way that's very near and dear to my heart, because I've been a pastor for 45 and a half years. And one of the things that I notice with women in ministry, not just as pastors, but in any form of ministry, is that we often feel this, what I've called the Lone Ranger syndrome. And it's true for men as well. But for women, the push that you've got to be the best. You can't show any problems. You can't show any weakness, or what's called weakness. I have a different term for it. But, and it gets lonely. And with social media and everything else these days, there's more of a pull apart than pulling together. How do you help women form these bonds, this way of coming together that we need?
So, like you, I'm not a pastor, but I have been in ministry since 1992. So I do understand that Lone Ranger syndrome and being attacked just because of your gender. So I understand that. For me, I start at the root. My belief, and I'm sure you can attest to this as being a woman of faith, is that God created us on purpose for a purpose. We did not go to him and say, make me a woman. We did not go to him and say, make me this ethnicity or another. He decided when he formed you in your mother's womb that you would be who you were to facilitate the purpose for which you were created. So once we can get to the root of our identity, Then we can kind of grow from there. We also have to understand that there's a lot of times, a lot of trauma from past hurts and abuses that women have encountered throughout their life, even from being a little girl up. And
Right.
so we have to heal from that because if you're trying to lead bleeding, you will bleed over those that you're trying to lead. Hurt
Mhm.
leaders hurt other people. So we come from the perspective of identity. First of all, knowing who you are, knowing that there is greatness within you. I don't care who said what. I don't even care what your limiting beliefs were about yourself. You have to know that God does not make mistakes and He created you on purpose for a purpose. You could have
Oh.
been brought forth in any given time in millennia, but you're
Mhm.
here now
Right.
because this is the appointed time for your purpose.
Right.
And so when we can come to that identity that I wasn't created to be a Stepford wife, I'm sure you can relate to that movie, right? Some
Mhm.
people look at me and go, what was a Stepford wife? It's an old movie, but
Yeah.
they tried to do cookie cutting with women. We're not cookie cutting people. We are individuals. We were uniquely created. And so
Sure.
when we embrace our uniqueness and understand it as being part of our superpower, because it's what makes us who we are, then we can bring our power and our authority to the table
Mhm.
in who we are. Each one of us has a part to play. And
Mhm.
so when we heal, we understand our identity, we heal, then we can stand up in the authority for which we were created and carry out the purpose we were created for.
That's beautiful. I love the way you put that. And we do each have a purpose. You also talked about the traumas that we have.
Mhm.
And one of the other things I see with women across the board, ministry of any kind,
Mhm.
professional, like your kind of ministry in business or whatever, we tend to want to hide those traumas, those pains that we've
Mhm.
endured. But I have found that when we share them, as we heal, maybe not fully healed yet, but when we share them as we heal, that can be a real strength. And it's a way of relating to other people because they have the similar kinds of brains, have had those similar kinds of experiences. So instead of hiding them,
Yes.
healing is partly sharing.
It really is. It's about being unapologetically transparent. It
Yeah.
does not mean like I'm an open book. I literally wrote the book and opened it for everybody. When you can be transparent in where you've been, then you can help somebody else that may have walked in a similar
Right.
place. And I don't share my past as this crown of glory or that
No,
I'm
no,
gloating on, hey, I did this, I did
no.
that, I experienced this. No, is to say, hey, if I can walk through what I walked through and I can make it to the other side, so can you.
Right.
So
Right.
can you. And so transparency is very, very important. One of the things my apostle teaches, he says that, first of all, if you're going to heal, you've got to face whatever it is that has wounded you because you can't heal from it until you face it. All
Mhm.
right. And then once you can face it and you can deal with it, then you can erase that trauma and replace it with that victory and the glory of God on it because you made it through. We as women don't really understand how strong we really, really,
Yeah.
we really don't. And when you start to think about everything that you've walked through, everything that you've endured, but you're still standing, you're still here, there is that lioness within you. There is
Mhm.
that courage, that fierceness, that roar within you that says, "You will not take me down. I am a survivor. I am a thriver. I'm not the sum total of what I've been through. It's just part of my story."
It's part of the story. Yes.
Yeah.
And being able to share that story, like you say, not in a way of, well, look at me type of thing, but
Mm-hmm.
as, here's a path I've walked, and I can walk with you through a similar path.
Yes. Yes.
And it
Absolutely.
and it's the realization that, like, we carry the scars, yes, but those scars tell a part of our story, and not as a victim, but as a
Mm-mm.
victor when we go
Yes.
through it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So how do you then incorporate some of your faith in helping other women? And, what does that mean for you? Maybe not in the sense of sharing scripture or, anything like that, but how does it empower you in what you do?
It's a part of who I am. I had an experience a few months ago that really, really touched my heart. And I was at a retreat in Spain, actually, and
Uh,
I was an attendee of the retreat. Normally, I'm
mm,
giving the retreats, but I was an
uh-huh.
attendee of the retreat, and there were women from all walks of life and different faiths. Even the person that I'm getting ready to share about, she was like a woman of no faith. It was just like,
Mm-hmm.
no, I don't believe. I never preached the gospel, okay? I just was who I was.
Right.
And at the end of the retreat, she said, I have to tell you something. Just being around you has caused me to take another look at faith.
Wow.
It's just being, if you, I say this all the time, if you be who you be, you will do what you do. If you be who God created you to be, it does not mean that you're trying to hit somebody over the head with the Bible. You're not always
Mm-hmm.
preaching gospel, preaching scripture or what have you. You just be who you were created to be. And just instinctively, it will come out for you to do what you were created to do. And that's to make a difference in other people's lives. I'm at a stage in my life now. I have a birthday in 12 days and I'll be
Happy birthday.
69. So thank you. I'm almost 70 and I'm thinking
Oh.
this is my time of legacy. This is
Mm-hmm.
my time to pour back into other people. I can't do it from a seat of judgment. I can't
Right.
do it from that place of always, bad girl, bad girl, bad girl.
Ooh,
No,
no.
it's got to be from that place of love. One of the things that God said was, with loving kindness have I drawn thee. So it has to be from a place of love. And then it has to be
Mm-hmm.
from a place of authenticity. So if I'm authentically who I was created to be, then I will accomplish what I was created to do. And that's
Mm-hmm.
how I interweave it. I speak on stages with all walks of people, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it's never from that place of, I need you to believe what I believe. No, here,
Yeah.
as I make it
Right.
very clear, I am a woman of faith, and that's the perspective that I come from. But you may not agree with my faith, but you have to agree with, there is more inside of you that needs to be tapped into. There's a greatness within you that you need to achieve. And so when you can come from a level playing field, you can interwoven it into anything.
Yeah. And I love what you said, you're accepting of people of all faiths, and you don't come from a place of judgment because that pushes people away.
Yes,
And I do not read that in scripture, God's the judge, not me.
that's
And
correct.
and that when we come from that place of loving kindness, opens more doors,
Yes.
and it opens people in many different ways as well.
Mhm.
And one of the other things I've found, and I'd love your perspective on this, is the power of gratitude. And it's something I've delved into a little bit more these days. But how does gratitude play into what you do and who you are?
Gratitude is everything. Uh, I My husband transitioned in April, and so it was, needless to
Mm-hmm.
say, a rough time for me. However, I chose then, and I still choose now to embrace it from the perspective of, not that I've lost him, but Lord, thank you for the love that I got to endure and to share and to receive for almost 40 years. It's like
Wow.
you come from, if you're coming from that place of gratitude, it changes the perspective of how you see things. So
Yes.
my story is, and I'll make it a snippet, but I had my first child at 14. I had my
Oh,
second child eight
wow.
days after I turned 16, and then I figured that out. I didn't have any more. But then in my early 20s, I did drugs. And it wasn't until my early 30s that I gave my life to the Lord. So there was a whole lot of history back there before I got
Mhm.
to that place. But you know why I got to that place of celebrating and giving my life to the Lord? It was a place of gratitude. It was like, God, you have been so merciful through all the mess that I've gone through. I can't do anything else but to give you me. What else do I have? So everything stems from being, we don't like a lot of things that we have to walk through, but if we look at it through different lenses, it's all about the perspective in which we want to see that thing, then we can get beyond that and we can
Mhm.
be strong in it. And gratitude plays a monumental role in it.
Yeah. One of my mentors from early 90s has written a book called Happiness is a Choice. And
Mm,
in the very beginning of it, when I first read that book, I was in a painful place. Okay.
mm,
And in the very beginning of the book, and in the middle of a page, is a little box. And he says, the way we choose to see the world creates the world we see. And
yes.
when I first read that, I said, hey, wait a minute, man, there are actual events, there are facts, and
Yes.
that you can't erase and things like that. And I thought it was
Mhm,
stupid because I was in pain at the
mhm,
time and
mhm,
hurting from basically being fired, is what it was. And the rest of the book is 6 shortcuts to happiness. And number 5 is gratitude. And he
mm.
calls gratitude the sweetest and shortest of short. And when I started looking at what in the world do I have to be grateful for in the midst of this, it took me a while to come up with one. But after that, things began to shift and change. And, what you have said, how we look at things makes all the difference.
Yes.
And it won't get you a job tomorrow. It won't do some of those other things, but it shifts the perspective and the possibilities.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's what I hear from you, that
Yeah.
it has shifted all the possibilities.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You
Yeah.
know, when you're walking in a, excuse me, in a place of gratitude, everything becomes an adventure. Okay, what's
Yeah.
next? What's
Sometimes it's a
next?
little scary adventure at times, but yes.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
excuse me, when we don't know the next, it
Right.
can be a little anxiousness. You
Mhm.
know, yesterday was my last day on a quote unquote job. There was a little
Ah,
anxiousness on it, but at
yeah.
the same time, there was this excitement that, okay, Lord, what's next?
Yeah.
You know? And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Wonderful. Coylette, Dr. Coylette, it's been a pleasure and an honor to have you here.
Thank
And
you.
I would love to continue the conversation maybe at another time and to even go a little deeper on some
Okay,
things. But I thank you for being here on the Tilted Halo. And, we all have that halo a little bit askew,
we do.
but it's still there because of
It
God's grace.
is. Yes, ma'am.
Because of
Thank you
God.
so much for having me. This has been
Yeah.
fun.
And thank you. Thank you. And you've been listening to The Tilted Halo for women of faith who know we're not perfect, yet boldly lead anyway. If today's episode encouraged you, please like it, share it, and leave a comment. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss what's next. And for more tools, resources, and encouragement, visit me at KathleenAPanning.com. Until next time, keep leading boldly with faith, gratitude, and God's grace.